I'm Marni. I co-run the marketing department at an entertainment marketing agency in New York called the Syndicate. We do an array of things in the music and entertainment industry. We do radio, PR, experiential and grassroots marketing, and digital marketing, which is most of what I handle. Before I joined the Syndicate, I ran a digital marketing agency called Syndicate Media. And I ran that for about 12 years, and then about a year ago, a little over a year ago, we merged into the Syndicate and became their digital division. So been there for a little over a year, and it's been really exciting. You're going to see a lot of memes today, so I hope you guys are on board for that. Let me get a little poll of the room. Who's an artist here? Okay, great. And managers? Great. And like label marketing people? Awesome. Okay, cool. So I'm going to kind of just rocket through, a lot of best practices on social media, specifically for the music industry, talk about ways that you can use the different features on different platforms and grow your audience. I'm going to kind of go really fast because there's a lot to cover. So if you have questions, just jot them down. I think we're going to have like 30 minutes at the end for questions and stuff like that. So social media. I'm also going to try to stay platform by platform, but they're all kind of intertwined now, so I'm going to bounce around a little bit. What's your favorite thing about social media? That's a good thing. That's awesome. And what's something that's maybe frustrating? Yeah, I don't think you're alone. He said it's complicated for me, and I think we all kind of are there. Even those of us that do it every day, it's changing constantly. It's evolving every single day, every single minute it feels like. So there's always something to keep up with, which I think is a challenge across the board. And I think we all kind of experience a range of emotions that deal with social media, whether we're using it for personal use or for marketing something, particularly music. So today we're going to kind of go into how we can best use the platforms as tools in our toolkit to kind of assemble something that we can best have work for us. And we're going to get into what the tools are, and really how to take advantage of them so that you're using them to make your content the best it can be. And we're not really going to get into advertising because that's kind of a whole other topic on its own. But all of these principles you can apply to advertising as well. So we're going to start with Facebook, oldie but a goodie. I know that a lot of people. Who here uses Facebook? Is there anyone that's kind of no one? 2 people, 5 people. Okay, all right, okay, cool. It's, there's a lot of talk about, Facebook's dying or, nobody uses Facebook anymore. It's still got, just over 2 billion users worldwide. And it's still one of the most cost-effective ways to do targeted advertising. And even with organic posts, it's still a great platform to use to target your posts, whether you're geo-targeting or by demographic. It's a pretty user-friendly it depends how you're using it, but there's a lot more that you can do with it, than some other platforms, I think, just because it has been around for so long and they're constantly introducing new features. So definitely wanted to dig into that. We're going to talk a lot today about everything that we're going to be talking about basically is for brand pages versus profiles. Does everybody know the difference between those? Okay, cool. So just wanted to talk about that. Some of these might be a little bit low res, so let me know if you can't read anything. So there's been a lot of algorithm changes over the past few years, specifically with Facebook, also Instagram. Instagram's algorithm probably changed actually before Facebook. And the thing that's dying is the organic reach of brand pages. And this chart is actually, it's overzealous. So this says about 6% of your followers are seeing your organic content. It's probably more around like 2 or 3. Which is kind of depressing, and it also means that we've had to kind of up our ad spends over the years and really educate ourselves in terms of how to do targeted advertising. But we're going to talk a little bit about what the algorithm currently is and how you can sort of use it to your advantage to work with the algorithm, and that will apply not only to making your organic content more viewable, give it more reach, but also something, like I said, that you can apply to your ads. So there's a lot of talk about, beating the algorithm, or what you can do to trick the algorithm or get around the algorithm. And I like to think about it like, let's just give the algorithm what it wants. It's a lot less resistance, and it makes sense. So the algorithm is literally set up in a way that it's delivering content to people that it thinks want to see that content. Even more specifically, it's delivering content to people that it thinks will interact with that content. And in Facebook's own words, when it changed the algorithm a couple of years ago, it's trying to get not only profiles, but also brand pages, even more so brand pages. It's trying to get people to have meaningful interactions. That's the words, the phrase that they used when they changed the algorithm. And what that means is that they're trying to serve people content that they're going to engage with. They want people to have a positive experience on Facebook. This is for a number of different reasons. They've been under fire for a lot of different things in the last few years, and the way that they're making things more transparent is that they want people to actually be engaging with things that they're seeing, instead of seeing a bunch of stuff that doesn't apply to them, never going back to the platform again, which I think we've all kind of experienced. So there's a million things that go into the Facebook algorithm and kind of how content is calculated for the platform to decide whether who sees what content. This is just an example post that would be created by the publisher, which is the person or the page that's making the content. The four kind of main things that it's looking at is who posted the content, what type of content is it, what kind of engagement is the content getting, and when was it posted. So just very top line what that means: who posted the content? Is it a brand page? Is it a profile? Is it somebody that has gotten negative feedback ever? Have people reported content on that person's page? How complete is that person or that page's profile? That's also something that comes into play, because obviously the more complete a profile is, the less likely it is to be kind of a spammy page. And there's a bunch of other things that factor into it as well. The type of content: is it photos? Is it a status update that's text only? Is it a video? Is it live video? Is it any of the other features that we're going to talk about today? And that is all something that factors in when it's choosing who to deliver the content to. Of your followers. It's also looking at the engagement. So it's going to look at the engagement that the post has already gotten before it gets to you. It's going to look at, like I said, when it was posted. It's going to look at things like, did any of your friends comment on it? Are any of your friends tagged in it? That's going to be geared towards you, because it's going to have a better likelihood that you're going to engage with it or know what's going on in the post. When it was posted, how much time was spent on the content, which is also something that we're going to talk about in a bit. So I know I talked a lot about when it was posted, right? The reason I emphasize that is that it's probably one of the most, besides what type of content it is, it's something that you have a lot of control over. So you can obviously post things whenever you want, but you should definitely try to post content specifically on Facebook and Instagram when you think that know when your followers are online. And the way that you can find that out, you can look in Facebook Insights. I always say to take those insights with a grain of salt, because they're not super specific, and sometimes you'll look at them and go, well, yeah, my fans are online when they're awake. That's great information, thank you. But if you have any doubt, kind of use common sense, do a little research into what time zone your fans are, what kind of jobs do they have in general, and see and test things out. So when I post things at 4 p.m. in the time zone that my fans are on and I'm in, do I get more engagement than when I post around noon? Are people, on a lunch break and checking things? Are they later in the day? Are they on the computer? Most people are looking at social media on mobile. So that's something to consider too. People are checking it when they're in line at the grocery store, in a cab, all of these things. So you have to kind of take into consideration, if you're going to announce a tour or launch a contest, what time is it for people when they're seeing this? Another reason that that's important is because the more engagement that a post gets when it's posted, the more engagement it's going to continue to get. So if you post something and most of your fans, or most of your fans aren't going to see it, but a lot of your fans see it and more people engage right when it's posted, that content is going to be served to more of your followers. Because Facebook is saying, oh, people really like this. This is great. We're going to give it to more of your people. Versus, this post isn't really getting much engagement. It's kind of, maybe people don't really want to see this, and it kind of like buries it. Obviously, when you're announcing something that's regional, like a tour, if you're touring, say, like the UK, or if you're playing a specific show in a specific city, those are posts that you're going to want to geo-target so that you make sure that those people in that region only see that, and that you're not giving content to someone that's not going to be interested. It is something that you can mention on your feed, because you might have fans that are in other countries saying, oh, hey, my favorite band is coming to your city, you should go see them. But in general, like it's a big announcement or something, or it's like a specific show announcement, you're going to want to geo-target those. Obviously, you can schedule stuff, so that's convenient when you're like announcing a tour on the other side of the world and you want to target people that are awake when you're not awake. And I did want to mention just a note about scheduling content, because it is so easy to do on Facebook. Because of the world that we live in today and such crazy news happens every day, it's always a good idea if you have a post that's scheduled, especially if it's scheduled to go live when you're awake, to just check in with what's going on globally before you post something that's like, my video's out today, and like everyone's talking about something that just would feel a little tone deaf if you post that. So that kind of goes without saying, but I always like to say that with scheduled posts because it's important. Just talking about kind of that engagement that the posts get, and that sort of meaningful interactions phrase that we talked about before, this just kind of shows the type of engagement that is the most important, specifically on Facebook and Instagram. Everything that I'm kind of saying for Facebook is Instagram too, because it's basically the same algorithm. So the active engagements being commenting, sharing, and reacting. Reacting, liking, because on Facebook you can do the different types of reactions. And then passive engagement being clicking, watching, viewing, and hovering, kind of like having it play if it's a video or something. The reason why this is interesting is because, and we'll talk about video in a little bit, it's not that video views aren't impactful, it's just that what Facebook considers most impactful are the kind of active engagements, the commenting, the sharing, and the liking. So it's kind of something just to keep in mind when you're measuring your engagement. Again, not to say that views aren't important and something to want to have, but that's kind of where the weight comes from. Okay, so who here ever feels like, I don't know what to post on social media? Okay, and who here, like even after me telling you all that stuff, who feels that even more now? So what happens when you don't post on social media? Anybody? Nothing. Or what happens when you don't know what to post on social media, should I say? Sometimes you get lucky. Sometimes you don't post anything at all. And what happens when you don't post anything at all is that you kind of fall into a little bit of an algorithmic dip, right? So you go a month without posting, you go 2 months without posting, and then all of a sudden you post something and your reach is much lower because the algorithm has kind of ignored you for a little while because you've ignored the feeds. So it's basically like you're kind of digging a little. It's like when you go to the gym after not going to the gym for a really long time and you're like, oh, this is not how it used to be. And so you have to kind of build it up, right? So if you haven't posted for a very long time and then you have an album release and you want to engage your fans, you have to kind of warm your audience up again. The other thing that happens when you're not sure of what to post is you post random content. You're just like, I got to post something. I know I need to post something. Something has to go up. Here's a picture of whatever. And what happens when you do that is you're not really telling a story and you're not really engaging your audience because you're not, kind of giving them a community to belong to. You're just kind of like, passing out random information. And the other thing that happens sometimes when we are not sure of what to post is that we only post promotional things. So we're only posting things like my single's out, my album's out, my video's out, stream this track, do this for me, can you click this link, la 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 la. And your fans kind of burn out when that's the only thing that you're posting about. So knowing what we know about the algorithm, knowing that we shouldn't only be posting promotional things, what do we do? So a lot of our clients, when we start working with them, we talk to them about looking at like a balance of 80-20, meaning that about 20, maybe 30% of your content is promotional. It's those, my album, my single, buy this, stream this, go see this, buy these tickets, And then about 70 to 80% is non-promotional or contextual, what some people refer to as lifestyle content. And so, with that balance, you're kind of not, you still have to have a plan of what you're going to post, and we'll talk about that in a second, but you're at least creating a ratio of content where people aren't just being like bombarded with promotional stuff all the time. So when we tell artists this, they're like, well, okay, so 20% of my posts are supposed to be about my music. What am I supposed to talk about? So that's what we're going to talk about today. Who here uses a content calendar? Okay, so it's challenging. It really is challenging because you're doing so much, and then you're supposed to plan out all your content. You're supposed to be a social media expert. So if you do use a content calendar, or if you kind of just have an idea of what it is that you're supposed to be posting, you probably start with like the tentpole promotional items. So you have exactly what we were talking about before, your singles, your album. You know all that stuff. You know when those things are coming out. You know when you're going to announce things. But what about all the other stuff? What about the contextual stuff that I was just talking about? So can I get an artist to volunteer to do a little content workshop, a little live content workshop? Okay. What's your name? Alexandra. Do we have a mic for Alexandra? Okay, cool. What's your band name? Madar. How do you spell that? D-R-A. Okay, cool. D-A-R. Okay.
Great.
Okay, so Alexandra, if somebody has never heard your music before, how do you describe it?
It's like R&B and pop with a splash of punk.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And what are some kind of like recurring themes in your music?
Like anger, but also love and relationships, revenge.
Amazing. So human things that we all deal with on a daily basis. And what are some things that you care a lot about, or that your friends or family would say that you care a lot about, that you talk a lot about?
I would say like feminism. Also, like my music, if that's not like a basic answer. And like meaningful relationships with either like fans or to the music.
Amazing. Okay, great. And do you have any causes that you support or that you feel passionately about?
Like I work a lot with like equality in the music business, like arrange camps for like young girls and like trans people and teach them how to produce and write songs.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And is there anything when you go to a different city, when you're on tour, that you're like, I have to do that every time I go to a city?
Like in the city, not just like play?
Yeah, well, you're going to play, and then like, do you have to I have to go to the best coffee shop? Or
I have to eat food.
Okay, great. Yeah. Is there a specific kind of food?
No, just like food.
Just really good food. Okay, amazing. Thank you so much. And where can we find you on social media? What's your handle?
Madar Music at Instagram and Madar at Facebook.
Okay, amazing. Everyone go check out her band. So basically, this is an example of kind of a workshop that we go through with our fans, with our clients. Hopefully, they're our fans. And this is how we kind of start out all of our campaigns, because we know that the music is amazing. You know that your music is amazing. It's kind of building this structure around the music that helps you build a community and have something to not only talk about that's engaging your fans, it has something to do with the music because it's you and you're the common denominator of that. You make your amazing music. You also care about feminism and supporting equality in music and, good food and all of these things that other people can relate to. And the more specific you are with it, the more specifically people can relate to it. It's something that you could talk about on your socials. It's something that you can talk about on other people's socials. It's something that you can engage with people on. It's hashtags that you can use. So this is really important to kind of consider as you're planning your content. So, by the way, that meme was a joke. There's no way you could ever make content that everybody likes all the time. In fact, like we were talking about before, you get them, as long as you can get your core fans or the people that really care about what you're saying to engage right away, so the more specific you are with your content, then it will be shown to more people. So that's kind of key. Is like you can't make everyone happy all the time. You can make some people happy some of the time, and if those people are happy and liking and commenting, then you're on the right track. So, be specific, be interesting, be authentic. I know we hear that word so often. It's like, authentic, but it really does mean something on social media. And I think that's kind of why, we'll talk about stories, Instagram stories in a little bit. I think that's why stories have taken off so much, is because people are less sort of curated on there and people are more themselves. So I think people really respond to that. Your fans really want to see like behind the curtain of your life. If they care about your music and they care about you, they don't want to just see like the polished thing and here's the album art and here's my tour poster and that's what you get. They want that kind of peek behind the curtain. I will say you still have to make sure that people understand that you're a musician. So, please don't get me wrong and think like, I'm just going to post about only feminism or only food or only my dog or whatever. Those things are kind of themes that you're gonna weave into your content. So, choose 3 to 5 themes, make sure one of them is clearly about your music, and make sure when somebody goes to your profiles that it's very clear that you have an album out or you have a tour going on or whatever it is. So mix it up. And, it doesn't have to be that structured, but banking content and having a content calendar and having a plan just kind of ensures that you're going to have that consistency, which is one of the most important things that you can do on social media. Like we were talking about not having that dip where you're just like, I don't know what to post, I'm not posting for a month. Having that consistent cadence of posting feeds the algorithm. It's exhausting and it's a lot of work, and I know that, but it's the thing that will kind of help you stay in your fans' feeds. And themes can also be less specific. They don't have to be like, I only post about, pizza on Tuesdays or whatever. Although you can post about tacos on Tuesday because it's Taco Tuesday, so that's really important. But it can be you hanging out with your friends. It can be like Alexandra was saying, like relationships, just acknowledging people in your life every so often. As long as it's a recurring theme enough to where people are like, oh, I love her. She posts about this and that and this, and I love her music. So it's kind of like a thing. It's not random. It can be like a certain color that you love and that's in all your branding and that your fans associate with you. They're like, oh, she always wears yellow, and that's kind of just always part of your posts in some way. That's a lot of work, but if that's something that makes sense for you, or if it's like every 5th post or something like that, even stuff it's about your music, but it's not overly promotional is great. So this is a little video. Like I'm talking about things like behind the scenes or music or writing your music or, being in the studio. This is Lila Sunier. She paints all of her artwork, so all of her album and single artwork. And so this is like a hyper-lapse video of her painting her artwork.
You drape your arm around me and searing at my tongue are the words I swallow. They sour like nicotine. You're not right for me and I'm not for you, but the oxygen is leaving. Gravity closed the door to this room.
So again, it's not, a tour flyer or a post of her album art. It's her creating the album art, which is a lot more engaging, and it's sort of a way to kind of blur the lines between promotional and non-promotional. Also keep in mind that all of your music posts don't have to be promotional. So this is Caroline Rose. I love her social media because her whole brand is very like tongue-in-cheek and fun and real and raw and honest. And a lot of this is a social post that she did. The whole carousel, it's on Instagram, the whole carousel is just her and her bandmate making like ridiculous faces. And it's a post promoting a show. So like this is something that you would stop and look at in your feed because like it's hilarious and we all can relate to having that face when we're like on FaceTime with somebody. And this is also, just to mention on Instagram, pictures of faces do really well, specifically on Instagram, for probably obvious reasons. We're more likely to engage with something that's a face, especially a close-up face, than like a picture of an ocean or a landscape or something. So that is something to consider as well, just to have fun with it, and even having something that you're promoting be fun. Okay. So now seems like a good time to talk about this. I talk about engagement a lot, and I talk about this particular thing so often I had to make a meme out of it. A lot of people use social media as like a billboard, where they're just posting stuff and running away. And if you're doing that, you're missing out on like the whole kind of thing that social media is, the social part of social media. And so I emphasize this a lot. You can call it engagement, you can call it community management. There's, a million ways that you can refer to it, but it's basically the most important part of having a social presence and kind of creating a relationship with the people that are engaging with you. So there's two different kind of types of engagement that we talk about. On my team, we talk about internal and external engagement. Internal engagement, pretty obvious. It's people comment on your posts, you're engaging with them. You're replying, you're liking their comments, things like that. It sounds like such a no-brainer, but the amount of people that I see don't do it is amazing, and they're kind of missing out on a chance to create a relationship with their fans. But not only that, what did we talk about before? That Facebook really likes to see engagement on your posts. They like to see comments. They weigh comments probably more than anything, well, shares as well. So every time someone comments on your post, if you're not commenting back to them or replying to that comment, you're kind of missing an opportunity to create another comment on your posts. And I'm not saying that you should just like post, comment 40 times on your own posts. That's like a different look, I think, altogether. But it's definitely a good idea to get into the habit of doing that. And it could be like as simple as an emoji that, or a series of emojis that you use routinely. But the most engaging, engagement is when you kind of comment back or reply with something meaningful. And then, you also can kind of keep the conversation going. So if somebody asks, hey, what time are you on tonight? Instead of replying 8 p.m., you can reply 8 p.m. Any requests, or will I see you there? Or just a question that kind of keeps that engagement going. And then external engagement is engaging on other people's content. So, and this is where that kind of those content themes that we were talking about before come into play. So if there's a specific hashtag that you use all the time, or that you're following, or that you that kind of personifies what you're talking about, if it's feminism or if it's equality or whatever it is, do a search for that hashtag. Kind of build that into your strategy daily, or every other day, whatever you can put into your schedule, and you search for that hashtag if that's the easiest way to do it, and you find conversations that apply to you, and you engage with them. And this is also, like, you're not going to, in the same way that you're not going to like walk into a party and be like, hi, I have a new album out, I'm an artist, hello, nice to meet everybody. You're not going to do that on social media either, I hope. So you're going to go into these conversations and contribute what you have, ask questions like a normal conversation, And I know this stuff is super obvious, but I always talk about it because it's something that a lot of people aren't doing. And it's a very kind of easy and somewhat painless way to kind of slowly grow your fan base organically. And I do also want to acknowledge that I know that it's not easy. So it is, it's kind of, there's a lot of information out there, and you're kind of forcing yourself to take it all in when you go into the depths of social media. And that's why I kind of like the laser-focused approach of like using a keyword or a hashtag, just like go in and be like, all right, I want to find the conversations that I want to talk about, and that's it. So before you're like, oh, it's not cool to engage on your own posts, like nobody does that. Some people don't do that. A lot of people don't do that. But I love to find examples of like really famous people that do, because I think like, well, if they have time to do it, then we all do. So this is James Gunn's Instagram page. He's the director of Guardians of the Galaxy and a number of other films. And I love this post because he'll comment on like he'll reply to random comments. And this one, he was just, I guess, like commenting extra or something. And someone posted, do you respond to everyone who asks something on this post? And he said, no, just some random ones. And one of his followers, says, and by random he means early or first four. And I love that because it means that his fans are paying attention and that they know that he's going to comment, he's going to reply to like the first few people that post. And that means that maybe they have their notifications turned on for when he posts on Instagram. Maybe they, have activated that so that they can be like the first person to post. And that definitely shows Instagram that people are liking your content. So it's definitely something to keep in mind if you're a bigger artist or if you don't have like thousands of comments and you're like, I don't have time to reply to all of these. You don't have to. Even if it's only a few, just comment to some so that people feel engaged with. Patti Smith also does this. Can't really think of anyone cooler than her, so I think it's awesome that she does do this. But she also posts a lot of stuff that's kind of non-promotional, so she has plenty of stuff to promote, but obviously she's talking about other people's books. She's always talking about like her love of coffee, which is something that is prominent in her life. And she will reply to like maybe the first few people that comment on her post, and I just love that. David Crosby, and I'm using bigger artists as an example to show like if they can do it, we all can. He is super active on Twitter. I don't know, does anyone follow David on Twitter? You should, he's hilarious. And he talks a lot about politics in the US, which is fascinating right now. So he has a lot of things to say, and it's always awesome. So he's very active, and like sometimes he'll take an hour in the evening or something and just like reply to random people. Just go through and just like reply, and they ask him questions about him, about the world, about advice, all kinds of things. And so Rolling Stone actually launched, he's now a columnist, like an advice columnist in Rolling Stone. So you can tweet a question about yourself. It's like not about him. He won't answer any questions about him, just about yourself. So you can tweet and use hashtag #AskCroz, and then your question could be picked, and then Rolling Stone does a video of him answering the questions. It's really funny. So here's just some other examples of like smaller artists and entities that are, kind of keeping the internal engagement going in their comment, in their feed. Also want to just note, if you're running ads on Facebook and Instagram, it's a good idea to make sure that you're paying attention to the comments on those ads, even more so probably because those are people that might not be following you that are engaging with your content. So engaging with them is even a better way to kind of make sure that they come over and follow you. They just feel acknowledged, and it's a good way to keep that conversation going. Okay, so let's get back into content. Did you guys keep track of how many times I said engagement? Because it was probably a lot. If you wanted to do a drinking game, that would be a good one. So video. There's a lot of talk about the importance of video, specifically on Facebook. Facebook posts with native video get more engagement than other posts, static posts and text posts. Does everyone know what I mean by native video versus non-native video? Okay, so native video being you upload it directly to the platform. It's not like a shared video. It's not a YouTube link. Don't ever post a YouTube link and just go away on Facebook. That's a whole thing we'll talk about in a second. But it's important to note the kind of engagement, and we kind of hinted at this before. We were talking about this with like the active and passive engagement. When you post native video on Facebook, you're going to predominantly see, when you look at the post, you're going to see the views, so the amount of views on the post. It's a little bit difficult to see where the likes are because they're kind of hidden. You can obviously see the comments, but you're going to see like, this post got like 1,000 views, and there's nothing to really compare it to because you don't know how many people viewed your static content. But it is something that kind of factors into how many people engaged with the post. It's just not one of those active engagements. So it's still important, still something that you should consider. But you also, when you post video, should consider your objective of the post and the context of the post. So we're going to go through a few examples where you can kind of curate that instead of just like throwing a video and being like, it's a video, yay, I solved all my problems. I posted a video on Facebook, everyone's going to like my page, I can retire now. It's obviously a little bit more complicated than that. So there's a few reasons that it is a good idea to make sure that video is like a keystone in your content strategy. One of them, especially for Facebook, one of them is that Facebook is competing with YouTube. So the more native video you can upload to Facebook, they're like, thank you guys, because they know that people like video and they want that video content. And we'll talk about Facebook Premiere in a little bit too. People also will stop when they're in their scroll. Usually it's this because they're on their mobile, and they will see something moving and have more their eye is drawn to it. Facebook, a video view counts after 3 seconds, so the more engaging your video can be at the very beginning is a good idea. You want people to spend at least 3 seconds watching it, right? And then people are more likely to spend more time on a video that is on a post that is video, just because if it's a compelling video, they're going to watch more of it instead of staring at like how long do you stare at a photo? So, and Facebook, obviously, we talked about time spent on photos being one of the algorithmic signals. So that is going to be something that Facebook is looking at. Like, oh, somebody spent a lot of time looking at that post. We should probably serve that to more people. So try things out. Have an objective for your post. This post is a video. It's just a Halloween video. And it just, the copy literally, I don't know if you can read that. It says, Happy Effin' Halloween. It's Guns N' Roses, so it has to say it. There's no call to action. There's no link, it's just a video and it's for Halloween. This post got a lot of shares. So the reason that it probably got a lot of shares is because of the context. It's posted on Halloween, it's really cool content, very engaging, and people probably shared it, to say Happy Halloween to their fans or to their friends. So that's basically, like the objective if you're gonna concentrate on that for the post. This one is directing people somewhere. So there's a YouTube link. And remember I just said, like, don't post a YouTube link and just leave it at that. So the way that you do post a direct traffic towards YouTube link is you upload some native content. So this is talking about how Paradise City was about to hit 500 million views on YouTube. And so if you upload a native clip of the video that you're talking about, Facebook is going to be like, oh, that's cool, okay. And then you put the link in there and direct people towards it, but you're not telling people to go there. You're just putting it there and saying, like, this post doesn't say, go to YouTube and watch the video to make it hit 500 million, which it did. But I think, like, just putting it in there, kind of signals to the fans, and that's the objective. The objective is to get people over there. So you're not necessarily caring about, the likes or the views, but people are going to engage with it more because it's a compelling video. If you didn't have that video in it, Facebook wouldn't serve it to anybody, and nobody would really watch it or see it. This video has a very clear call to action. It's a tour recap post, but instead of just posting a bunch of photos from the tour, it's a video. It's a very captivating video. And there's a call to action. It says, Wild Effin' Time, Not in This Lifetime, which is the name of the tour. Shout out your city. So it doesn't say, comment below with your city, which is a little spammy. You can do it if it's buried in some other text that's, makes it feel like a little bit more of a warm, fuzzy post. But because of that, people did do it, and this post got a ton of comments. So the more comments, the more people see it, la la la. I think you get the point. And for posting about shows, I know we talked about earlier, like, don't just put your tour poster up. Nobody can read it because it's small and there's lots of words. Also, like, if you're going to run an ad on that post for Facebook, your text has to be less than 20%. Most tour posters, it's more than that. So a video is always a really good way to promote a date or a tour. And it doesn't have to be like some high budget video that you spend all your money on. It could be shot on your iPhone. It could be this.
We'll meet someday in Sevilla. I will play La Cathedral so well. I will freak it 1,000 beats for a minute.
This is literally just a picture of the venue that they're playing, and they just put text around it and animated the text. So it's a lot more visually captivating. Facebook is going to serve it to more people. All the information is there, so if you're watching with the sound off, like most people do, it's like obvious what that is. So definitely do keep in mind that most people watch their videos with no sound. So if you make a gorgeous little video about your tour date and there's no text in there about what it is, like, most people are gonna either not watch it or not understand what you're trying to communicate. Obviously, you can communicate like with stories and stuff like sound on, da-da-da-da-da, but it's best to just make it really obvious what it is. This is an example, 2 examples of live, again, like mixing together Facebook and Instagram here. So Facebook Live and Instagram Live. To the left, Swedish band They OS. They were in New York doing a show, and they went live on Facebook to just kind of talk about their release, which came out that week as well, and just kind of a fun thing to do. When you go live on Facebook, how many people have used Facebook Live? Awesome. Okay, cool. So when you go live on Facebook, your fans get a notification saying so-and-so is live, which is really exciting. It's like you've been invited to a party that just started, and you just kick in there and see what's going on, chat with the artist. They can answer your questions in real time. Obviously, same thing with Instagram, this Asgear. I tried to only do artists from this area. Just kidding, it's not. But this is, it's just a great way. It's pretty easy to do. It's pretty lo-fi. In fact, the more like low production you do it, the better. I think people are just kind of, they want that peek into your life, like we were saying. So definitely take advantage of that. And you could do it from anywhere, sound check, backstage, whatever. We had a band a number of years ago, so long ago that actually what they did it on was Periscope, if anyone remembers Periscope. So they were a pretty big band, and so every night before their show, they were on a really long tour, they would do like a selfie stick walk from their green room to the stage. So they would start in the green room, walk all the way, have the band getting into the backstage area, and then continue it till they were on stage and show the audience. And after a while, they didn't tell anyone like, hey, tune in every night before we go on stage, we're gonna do this thing. But people started recognizing that they were doing it and tuning in because it was just really exciting for them. We did mention Facebook Premiere, so I just wanted to talk about it again. So Facebook Premiere is a great tool for you to unveil video that hasn't yet been on Facebook. So that's the most exciting thing I think about it, and especially because Facebook really likes that you're doing it. It's a signal that the content is significant because it has not yet been on Facebook. So it's an introduction to a new video for the platform. And they put some weight behind it because they know that it hasn't, it's not just like a post that's been up there. You can invite your fans, you treat it like an event and promote it ahead of time. You can comment live, so you have like a little, this is the chat on the right here, that you can chat with your fans so they can ask questions about the video. It doesn't have to be an official video, it could be whatever you want. You could also do Facebook Watch Party, which is a little bit different. Watch Party, you're inviting fans to watch a video with you that's already on Facebook. So it could be video that is on your page, on someone else's page. You can watch puppy videos with your fans all day. You can actually do like a series of videos, so you can queue up different videos and watch them all together. It's kind of like Twitch, like people like talking about videos while they're watching it. Does anyone know Mystery Science Theater 3000? I think that maybe it was just a US thing. Anyway, it's like that. It's from the 90s. So yeah, and Watch Party also, so Premiere, you can't premiere something that has already been on Facebook, but Watch Party, you can watch anything you want that's already been on it. And Watch Party also, when you set up a Watch Party, your top engaged fans are invited automatically to that, so they're notified that that's happening. Just a really quick quick word about links. We talked about this a little bit with YouTube, but if you are posting a link on Facebook that's not a YouTube link, like it's a press post, a press clip, or like tickets or something like that, the best way to post the link, because obviously Facebook doesn't want you to post links, it doesn't want you to send people away. As soon as you post a link, it either thinks that you're spam or you're trying to get people to leave the platform, and it's like, no one's going to see that post. So the best way that you do it is you put the link in with your caption, and then you delete the link once the image and link populates. It's a little bit difficult to explain, but do you guys know what I'm talking about? Okay, cool. And this is just like some general basic best practices. Is everybody, or is anyone using the Facebook video for your cover image? You guys, some people? Okay, so you can upload video to be your cover image. So instead of it being a static thing saying out now or da-da-da, if it can be video, it can be moving image. It's like a 15-second loop. And it's really engaging, and it's really cool, and you can switch it out all the time. And then you can also use that call to action button. So right now it says learn more. Now that button, I think will probably say, I don't know what it says right now, but because the song is out. So as you kind of put stuff out, you can change the button. It can be get tickets, it could be watch video. So if you put a video in there, if you have a new video, put a clip in there and put the button to watch video, and you can link people to watch the video on YouTube. Just a really quick about Messenger, Facebook Messenger. Obviously, that's a great way to be communicating with your fans, and there's a lot of really great apps that you can use to set that up. It takes a bit of time to set it up because you have to program in all of the language and everything, all the prompts. But this is just an example of one that is, it came out around Christmas, so December 12th is like, there was kind of an ongoing thing. So this is kind of preparing for the holidays, people last-minute gift shopping, and it's a thing that you can have sent right to your fans. You can geo-target that. So if you're playing a certain city, you can say like, "Hey, Marni." I wouldn't say that because that's my name, but you can say, "Hey, person, like we're coming to your city. I hope to see you there." Da da da, and then you can respond, and depending on that person's responses, serve them links to click to either buy tickets or get more information. Okay, so that was only Facebook. Aren't you excited? A lot of things that we just talked about are also, apply to Instagram as well. But, I also just wanted to talk about some very specific Instagram things too. One of the most interesting things, like currently news-wise with Instagram, is that in a lot of different cities, or a few different cities, they're trying out hidden likes. We still have likes in the US. I think you still have likes here, but in like 6 countries, they are trying out hidden likes. So, not seeing the likes on the page. You don't have likes? And you're based here? Oh, so maybe they're rolling it out here now too. That's very exciting. I don't know. Really? So it's new. Okay. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what happens with that. It's going to be pretty fascinating. I think it could be a good thing. So with regard to aesthetics on Instagram, it's definitely a platform that has a little bit of a higher aesthetic value in the feed, especially from when it started till now. One thing that I always like to point out, you guys are probably already doing this, you're probably like, duh, but when you upload a video to Instagram to the feed, choose the thumbnail carefully. You can scrobble through the whole video and choose your cover image so that it doesn't look like that on your feed. Because that's you're probably a lot more likely to click that and watch that than that black box that's like the default home screen. We talked about live on Facebook and Instagram, so it's pretty much the same thing here too, Instagram. Instagram stories, obviously, we're all using Instagram stories. About 500 million people a day are using Instagram stories. It is a great place for you to kind of put content up that's not like feed worthy. So if you want to say, you have like a lot of things to talk about that day, you obviously don't want to flood your feed with that. So stories are obviously a great way to do that and to kind of put more candid content. You can also connect your Instagram stories to Facebook stories. And I was just talking about this yesterday with somebody. Nobody uses Facebook stories. Does anyone use Facebook stories? Like 3 people, 4 people. And me kind of, only because I connect my Instagram stories to Facebook stories. So because people aren't really using it that much, this goes with kind of all of the new features, you can sort of get in there and be a little bit more discoverable, because you're more likely to be seen in Facebook stories because no one is really uploading Facebook stories. And usually I don't advise connecting platforms, and so you just post somewhere and it links somewhere, or it posts somewhere else. But because Facebook and Instagram are obviously the same company, the tags that you put in an Instagram story will convert to the Facebook tag. So if you tag like a venue or a band on Instagram, and even if they have a different tag situation on Facebook, it will work on Facebook stories. So this is just like, obviously once you have 10,000 fans on Instagram, you should have access to the swipe up feature. And it's always a good thing to use. This is also just an example of like a video. This isn't video, this is just a static image that I have here, but it was video. So we basically took just like an image of the song, of the album art, and put a little equalizer into it. So when the song plays, the little equalizer moves with the song. So you can see that when you're looking at the video, even if you have your sound off, that it is a video and it is probably playing the music. And then there's obviously a pre-save the single swipe up call to action. So if you are like, I don't want to pre-save the song, I don't even know what it sounds like, it's actually playing. So you can test it out. Try before you buy, or pre-save. I think we all are very familiar with the stories features, polls, quizzes, sliders, our beloved GIF stickers, however you want to say it. The guy that invented the GIF says it's GIF. I don't know, I'm so on the fence still. This is also, who's using music, sharing music from Spotify to stories? awesome. I mean, obviously here, you're probably aware of the features that Spotify has. But yeah, so this is just, I always like to make sure that everyone knows how to do this. Share Instagram stories, pop it in your stories on whatever image you want. If you're like me, you will put a sloth GIF sticker. It's important. And you can also share 2 stories from Shazam and SoundCloud. And then you can use the music sticker, of course, as well. So this is just a little what you can do. Search for the song. It's probably going to be loud. Choose the song.
They don't make 'em like me no more. They don't make 'em like me no more.
Choose different 15-second pieces of
And I
the
like a
song.
supernova.
Choose
Brand new
different
code hanging on my
fonts.
shoulders. I got what you need, I'm your main controller. So
Change the
hop right in,
color.
don't take- Get on up to my cloud. Ain't nobody here's taking us down.
So obviously just a fun way to put music into your posts. And obviously this one you can put a photo in, where the other one is the image of the artwork. Always like to make sure that people are using Instagram highlights, story highlights. We always advise to our artists that they do like a highlight for each song release, or if they're on tour, so you could just, as you're posting content in your stories, you file it into your highlights, almost like a pin post. I just think, especially if you're doing, if you're posting about a lot of different things, this is a great way for someone, like as soon as they go to your profile, they just like know exactly what's going on with you. Oh, there is a new song out. This is actually a link to a playlist that Asgir has on Spotify. So it links right to Spotify for a playlist that he's done with artists that he likes and his new music. And then we have all of the tracks that are out. And then obviously when the album comes out, we'll do an album one as well. IGTV, who's using IGTV? Awesome. Okay, so definitely I feel like a lot more people are going to start using it this year. It's Instagram's long-form content feature. It is really cool because you can, obviously you only have like 60 seconds for Instagram feed. So when you upload content to IGTV, you can preview it in your feed. It's a tricky thing for long-form content because I think a lot of artists are still they're using long-form content for YouTube because they're trying to build their YouTube followers as well. So I don't necessarily, I'm like always on the fence. I don't necessarily feel like you should put your full video. You can put it on IGTV, but you could also just put your full video on YouTube, keep directing people there, and then put like a longer cut of it on IGTV. Or you can use your IGTV for other things, for videos of sound check, or videos of you talking to your fans, or rehearsals, or something like that. So here's just a little example of how it looks when it's in the feed. And then when you click on it, you have kind of like the full video. So it says watch IGTV video right there. You can see where it's kind of telling you this is a longer video if you want to watch the whole thing. And then you can have the option to watch it full screen. So it's actually and you don't have to do them vertical anymore. You could do them horizontal. So good to note. A word on, so obviously we were talking about posting clip on Facebook, a video clip to link to YouTube so that we could drive traffic to YouTube. We can't post links in Instagram. Why? I don't know. They don't want you to leave the platform ever. Makes sense. So, we can obviously do link in bio. We do link in bio. It works for now. Okay. You can, if you do have the swipe up feature, you can do link in story and you could do a highlight. But, this is also where I think Instagram ads, we're not really going to get into advertising today, but Instagram ads come into play, where you can do that video clip and then direct people with a button. I was just talking about this with my team, and we're seeing a lot more engagement using the learn more link, like this one, instead of, because you can do a watch more. For some reason we see we've A/B tested everything exactly the same, and we're seeing a lot more engagement on learn more, not watch more. Maybe because people don't like to be told what to do. I have no idea. But just something to keep in mind. Another thing I like to just talk about with Instagram to make sure we're keeping in mind is location tags. You can obviously be very literal with them, like this is where I am, this is where I'm playing. This is an example of a band called the Cuckoos. They did a radio session at KUTX in Austin, Texas, and they tagged the radio station. And then you can see here where in the recent posts on the radio station's location tag, they come up. So if someone was searching that tag, they could find the band, which is cool. And this is just an example of like some people use like planet Earth or somewhere in the world or, you know, the galaxy, whatever, Milky Way, you know, just kind of silly general things, but people do use them and they do aggregate those posts. So you can see here, this is just a post that I found from Refinery 29. They were doing a climate change march, and they tagged planet Earth, and you could just see like these are all the locations for planet Earth if you did want to choose it. I always like to see like who else is using that location tag. I just think it's interesting. I'm a dork. Tagging, something to keep in mind with tagging too is especially when you're tagging like an artist you're on tour with, or a magazine that wrote about you, or a venue that you played, or something like that. Make sure that you're not only tagging the other entity, the other page in the caption, but you're also tagging them in the photo. Because you can see the little arrow pointing to Lila's post there. When you click on that entity, like that venue or the magazine or whatever, when you go to their tagged photos, then it will be aggregated in there, and it's just a little bit of extra discoverability for you. Hashtags, really quick on hashtags. Couple of ways that you can use hashtags. Obviously, we know that you can use like the unique hashtag of trying to get something started, if it's like a trending thing that you want to start, or if it's your band name or something. A lot of people do this where they kind of hide the tags in the first comment with the dots, which can work really well. Something to keep in mind when you do this and when you use hashtags in general is to try to avoid using really, really, really popular hashtags, like hashtags with like millions and millions of users, so like things like love and pretty and music and, you know, really stuff like that. Because it doesn't matter. Like no one's ever going to see that no one's ever going to search hashtag pretty and see like your post, unless you're Beyonce, who would never do that. So you want to be careful about that. And then also, if you use too many of those hashtags, Instagram considers it spammy, and it's marked a lot of those hashtags as spam. So you kind of want to like avoid using, at least, you can use them every so often if you want to for emphasis, but it's definitely a good idea to avoid them. And in general, it's probably a better idea to use hashtags that like hundreds of thousands of people are using rather than millions anyway, and kind of mix them up with ones that maybe even less people are using. That's a good question. I don't know. Some people say like 11. That's been going around for a while. Some people say, well, I get the most engagement when I do all 30. You can put 30 in a comment. Some people put 30 and then they delete it after like an hour, and then they put another one. So it really depends. You kind of have to try it out and see what works for your page. But it's a good question. If you find out the answer, let me know. And then the other thing is Instagram does not like repetitive actions. It thinks you're a robot, because there are robots that do repetitive actions all day and you can get flagged for it. So if you do this kind of chunk of hashtags, make sure that you're constantly mixing them up, like not only replacing the hashtags, but also like rearranging the order and stuff like that. So if you're like pulling from this same chunk every time you post, you shouldn't be doing that, because like the likelihood of all of those hashtags representing what's in the photo is unlikely and misleading, and then also it's just gonna trigger unwanted stuff in the algorithm. Twitter! Who's on Twitter? Who loves Twitter? Awesome. Yeah, no one loves Twitter. Poor Twitter. It's just, I love Twitter. I love the fact that it's a conversation, a place for conversation. I don't use Twitter that often, so don't tell anybody, but I am a lurker and I love reading it. So Twitter is the platform for having conversation with people. And so if you are posting content on Facebook and Instagram and they're just like leaving it there and like going to get a coffee, and like never looking at it again, Twitter is definitely more, even more important that you don't do that. So this is the place for like, what we were talking about with Instagram stories, where you have, lots and lots of things to talk about all day long. Twitter is your friend. All of your DSP shout-outs. Thank you for this playlist, da, 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 all these things. Went to this radio station. Like all of the things that you have to kind of like rattle off, Twitter's your friend. It's also not a bad idea to repeat yourself on Twitter. I personally don't love like where you say like the same exact thing over and over again, but if you've just talked about a show that you're doing that's coming up, you can post about it again later that day, and probably no one will see that you posted about it the first time. The lifespan of a tweet is about 18 minutes. So considering that, you know, with everything else that's going on in your life, you're probably not going to be that tuned into it. Yeah, just a quick words on Twitter bio. Like you have 160 characters in there, so try to get the most out of it. Describe who you are, why somebody should stick around. Make sure to, you know, flip out your pinned tweet every so often, so it's not like a lot of times I'll go to a band's page and it's like they're talking about their new album in their bio, and then like the tweet is from like 1974, being like, just, you know, released my first single ever, and I'm like, why are you doing that? You can put hashtags into your bio, but probably not more than one or two, otherwise it can be considered pretty spammy. And that's the same thing for a tweet as well. More than two, and it's like, all right, we get it. Twitter headers, this is like a total weird little note thing, but on the iPhone X, and I think beyond, there is a notch at the top of the screen. You guys know what I'm talking about? And because Twitter, this is on desktop, but because Twitter's header goes all the way up to the top, the notch will cut out some of it. So if you have like really important information, or you just try it out, like look on your mobile. I think there's even like iPhone X template thing, so you can like try it out if you don't have the iPhone X, but it's just something to consider. Like, I made this beautiful banner, and then it's like, you can't see half of it. So yeah, something to consider. There's a really great platform app called Canva. Anybody know it? Yay, Canva. Everybody loves Canva. It's so great. So Canva's great for like, I need a Twitter banner. I need a Twitter header. I need a Facebook header. I need a YouTube header, which is the most nightmare of all the headers. But you could basically just tell it what you want, and it puts like a canvas that size for you, and you can make it pretty. So it's awesome. You don't have to constantly be like 2020 social media sizes, because they're always changing. Yeah, this is just a little tweet example saying, you know, don't put more than 2 hashtags in a tweet. Also, try not to start or don't start tweets with the @. So if it's like @nam, da 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 da, if you do that, only the people that follow you and the person that you've tagged will see it. So try to bury the the tags into the tweet. Also, Twitter lists. I just want to mention Twitter lists because I think that they don't get a lot of love. They are a great way, because we were talking about engagement before, they're a great way to just curate your following, or you can even make lists out of people that you're not following. So if you want to like just engage with a lot of people talking about like equality, like we were talking about before, just make a list of the people that you like that are constantly talking about that kind of thing, and you just go into that list and just engage with people that way, instead of constantly searching for people and looking at your Twitter feed, which can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming and negative. This is an example of a Twitter Q&A that we did with an artist called LP. You can do Twitter Q&As with text only, but if you're a verified artist or an artist of a certain size, you can ask Twitter for video app. So basically you can answer questions with a video. So you record it. It's almost like stories. You record it and then you hit send and it goes. So it's just a fun way to do a Q&A. And there's a lot of fun ways to do Q&As. This isn't actually a Q&A, but I'm obsessed with it. I just love it. Does anyone know Alton Brown? Good Eats. I think it's only a US show. It's an awesome show. So they brought the show back. It's like a food show. The only thing I think I talk about more than like music and digital marketing is food. So he was basically like, I think it was like a petition for them to bring the show back, and so he was responding to all of the people who used this hashtag, Good Eats the Return, with a Post-it or a sticky note. So he would literally like write his response on the sticky note, stick it on his computer, take a picture of it, and tweet that as the reply, which I just thought was hilarious, and I thought he should have gotten like an endorsement from Post-its. And then just, fun ways to engage and kind of get yourself out there. I always like to look at the trending topics and see if there's anything fun, because usually it's not fun. Usually it's like, terrible things are happening. So I really like when there's these kind of replace a word or replace a letter in something and make it different. And this what I thought was great. I saw it the other day. It's hashtag more boring bands, because I think there was a hashtag boring bands thing. And it's basically just like, replace a letter in a band's name or replace a word to make it sound boring. So I just saw this. It was like Blandy, Ironing Maiden, Jethro Tull, and Fleetwood Mac. And this is just the ones that I grabbed. So always, you don't have to use your band, but I just think that it's fun to kind of jump on that. You can also the comments are also really fun. So you can comment back, and a lot of people will just engage in there. So it's just fun to get yourself in front of people, especially if you're funny. Yeah. YouTube. Let's talk about it. So, who has a solid YouTube strategy and they love YouTube and they upload stuff every day? Just kidding. You're like, now I have to upload stuff to YouTube every day? No, but kind of, and we'll get to that in a second. So YouTube has 1.9 billion users worldwide. It's a lot. And it's almost as much as Facebook. It might be neck and neck. I don't know. And it's not just for official videos. I think that's where kind of people get tripped up with YouTube, because it's the long form content. So people are like, I only have a video. I have my one video that I spent all my money on. Why would I'm supposed to make more of those videos just so I can have a YouTube strategy? No. So just like with other platforms, it's important to have a cadence, right? So if you upload something once a month, once every 2 weeks, whatever, that's, for long form video content, that's pretty good. So just kind of, you can put anything. You could put, like we were talking about for IGTV, you can do you talking about the world. You can do, videos from rehearsal. You can do videos from whatever you feel. But it doesn't just, it could be lyric videos. It can be audio tracks, so just the audio version with an image or a moving image. You can, just a few channel best practices too, just to make sure your featured video should always be the video that you have out currently. And you can change that so it can be a different video for people who have seen your channel before. So if people have visited your channel and they've already seen this video, you can have a different video displayed for people who come back. And then there's the channels feature, which no one uses ever. And it basically, you can put channels in here that are related to your channel. So the label that you're on, bands that are on your label, bands that you've toured with, bands that you've collaborated with, or even bands that are kind of in your similar genre. And that all helps YouTube's algorithm as well. Just a really quick note about cards. So cards are really great to use for a number of different reasons. The biggest ones are to subscribe and to send people to other videos. So this is an example of one that pops up. You guys have seen those little eye with a circle. You can click that and it'll take you to another video on your channel. And that's great for if you have a video that's doing really well and then you release another video. So you would upload your new video, go back to your video that's doing really well, and put an iCard in there. So that, I think now they're just called cards. Now I'm just like an old lady, I'm like, iCards. But you put that in there and it'll direct people to that video. So if they want to check out more by you, and you can choose where in the video you put it. And then you could also do end cards, which prompt people to subscribe to your channel. So you literally click that link and you're subscribed. So video descriptions, I always just like to get into a little bit of the metadata to make sure that everyone's kind of getting the most out of YouTube. Always your lyrics should always go into the descriptions, because who owns YouTube? Google. So if you hear a song and you didn't Shazam it in time, but you remember the hook, you type it into Google, what's that song? You should make it as searchable as possible for your video to come up, so that you're not just seeing the, Genius or A to Z lyrics or something, but you're also getting the video. So it's always a good idea to put that in there. Obviously links to your socials and your website, obviously links to the song, stream the song or pre-save the album, so a smart link, like a Feature FM link or something like that. Just for the description of the title of the video, YouTube's algorithm reads left to right like we do. So your name, your artist name should go first, then the song, and then whatever it is. So this one is official audio, meaning that it's not the official video, because it's not the actual video, it's just an art track with an equalizer so that you can see that it's moving. It's something that we just do a lot. If you're covering a song, so if you're covering, I can't think of a song, Katy Perry, Teenage Dream. You would put Katy Perry, Teenage Dream, your artist name cover, so that it would read Katy Perry first, and then aggregate some of the traffic that people are searching for Katy Perry. Remember when I was like, you have to post on YouTube every day? Just kidding. No, I'm not. So YouTube launched community page. Does anyone use community page or have access to it? Okay, cool, like 2-3 people. So once you hit 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, you have access to the community page. It should just pop up as a tab. And it's basically like Facebook or like Twitter. You can post photos, videos that you upload. You can put links to obviously YouTube videos, GIFs, polls, questions, stuff like that. So it's just and you can also like pull over content. Like sometimes if we post something on Facebook, we'll post it on community as well if we're announcing something. Or if it's just like fun content, just a cool photo with an emoji or something. It's just a good way to kind of keep your channel warm. So keep an eye out for that. YouTube also has live and premiere features as well. They work pretty much the way Facebook does for Facebook Live and Facebook Premiere. So this is just an example of that. Something we did here, which is kind of fun, is like when LP's video, the official video, launched, we said, put your questions about the video in the comments, and then we're going to do a live video on YouTube at such and such date, such and such time, where she's going to answer your questions. So we got some traffic out of the video, obviously, because we posted about that on her other channels, but then we got people to come back to YouTube to see her live talking about the video. And then obviously people were more likely to watch the video to have questions about it. But everybody wants to watch her videos anyway because she's amazing. So, LP, right? Let's hear it for LP. How many of you guys are on TikTok? Yay! Oh my God, this is like the most people in one room I think have ever been like, yeah, I'm on TikTok. So it's definitely an important platform to consider. It is growing super rapidly. It was the second most downloaded mobile app last year, non-game app. 2019, obviously a big year for TikTok. It brought us Kombucha Girl, so obviously I had to make that into a meme for today. But users are spending about, on average, 52 minutes on TikTok a day. That is a lot of TikTok, especially because the videos are like 15 seconds long. So it's a lot of content that's being consumed. So it's definitely a platform that you want to consider. It's even just something that you might want to like look and make sure that your music is available and that your distributor has a deal with them, because sometimes, we'll want to do something on the platform and we'll search and the song isn't on there. So you have to make sure that it's on there. You can also upload it yourself as a sound, but it's definitely better to have it like through the app as a licensed song. Okay, so I'm going to kind of wrap up here by talking about data collection, because it's super fun to talk about. So I know that email is not social media, but it kind of is. It's kind of like the original social media. Well, I guess like talking to each other is the original social media, so email is the next best thing. But so I can't emphasize enough the importance of building your email list. A lot of people are like, oh my God, do I still have to do that? And I'm like, yes, because we learned from our MySpace experience, right, that like we don't know what's going to happen to the platforms that we've just invested all this time and money and energy in. We have no idea. We don't know if our fans are going to get tired of the platforms and they're going to go to something else. And then we haven't yet built a fan base on there yet, right? So email is still a great way to have that kind of direct connection with your fans without the middleman of a platform. It's also, again, we didn't really talk about ads a lot today, but it is also a great way. So once you have an email list that's significant, like I think 1,000 people minimum, you can upload that, you can import that email list to Facebook and create a lookalike audience and create ad sets out of that. So you can target people that are sort of like, that behave like your current fans on Facebook, which is a really cool thing to do. So we should be doing that. I think we didn't really talk about it too much, but on Facebook there's that call to action button that we were talking about, that you can use it as a sign up button. You can say sign up, so you can direct people to sign up to your email list. You can also put it as a tab, so you have like that list of tabs. You could have it there always, so that you can have, like, if you use MailChimp, they have a really great integration for it, and just have people signing up all the time. On your website, hopefully everybody has a website. You still need a website, even if it's simple. Again, because we don't know what's going to happen to these platforms. And so just make sure that you're meeting the GDPR compliance requirements for email collection, obviously, but it's just good to keep in mind.
Just elaborate on the email Facebook thing.
Oh yeah, with MailChimp. So MailChimp and a number of other email platforms have integrations where, and Facebook has like a section on it called integrations, where you can connect apps to your Facebook page. So basically, like when you're looking at your Facebook page, on the left-hand side, there's like all the list of about, posts, photos, like all the different apps, like bands in town, shows, events, like all these things. One of them, you can integrate your mailing list. So you can have basically a tab where people can click, and it would be like a little widget kind of that has a mailing list sign up.
But you said that it would show you people that were similar to the...
Oh, that's importing it into Facebook. So that's for ads, for advertising. Yeah, so if you're in Facebook Business Manager, you can import your mailing list, the emails, and then it will generate an audience, a different audience of different people that are using Facebook that Facebook believes behaves like those people. It's really crazy. It's a good question. I also want to talk about mobile and collecting mobile data. So there's been, some apps and different ways to do this. Obviously, you could just collect it on your own. It's a little, I don't know if I would do that without the app, but this past year we saw the birth of Community. You guys all know Community? So you see a lot of artists now saying, and comedians and actors saying, text me. And you text them, and you get a link to sign up for Community, which is an app platform. And you can text with the artist directly. And so you can text them, they can text you back, obviously not using their real phone number, but they can also send out invite, like show announcements, tour announcements, my new single's out, click this link, blah, blah, blah. But they can also respond to you directly. And remember, we were talking about how WhatsApp was the #1 most downloaded mobile app last year. That kind of signifies the people's kind of value to one-to-one connection, whether it's a friend or a family member or an artist that they love. So it's obviously not something that you have to spend like all day doing, but it's certainly a really interesting thing. It's great to connect with your fans if you're just like sending them information, kind of like the Messenger app that we were talking about, but it goes right to their phone. And like people are always on text message all day long. And then also you can respond to fans. So if fans, a lot of times people will be like, is this really you? And then the fan, and it says their name. So this one says Olivia. The artist will text back like, yeah, Olivia, it's me, and send a photo of them, which is just crazy for a fan to be able to do that. So it's definitely something cool. Also with SMS, similar to email, you're bypassing the middleman of a platform, but you're even less likely to change your phone number than you are your email, right? Or to like have that junk email that you use for all the email signups that you never check. You're not going to do that with your phone number. Your phone number is your phone number. So it's definitely good data to collect. And, it kind of goes back to that whole conversation of authenticity, right? So if the fan knows that they can get you, even if it's like, yeah.
Does this mean that every fan in the world has your private?
No, it's not your phone number. It's a phone number. So artists will say like, text me. This is my phone number. It's not their phone number. It's like a phone number given to them.
This is on WhatsApp?
No. I was just talking about how WhatsApp kind of illustrates the value of one-to-one connection. It's an app called Community. And then there's another app called Superphone it's been around for years, started by an artist called Ryan Leslie. So that's an interesting way to collect SMS data as well. Really cool app. But no, it's not your phone number. It's not your own personal number. That would be, I don't even know what that would be. That would be a nightmare. So I think, just keeping these things in mind, keeping your authenticity, your realness in mind, keeping in mind that people value that and they want to see that from you is kind of the sort of overarching thing, right? We have all these tools, all of these features that we can use, but if we're using them just to be like, buy my thing, do this, do that, do this, people burn out. And they really do crave that kind of intimate connection with the artist because it's special. Music is different. Music is different than other products. It's something we have an emotional connection to, and we feel close to the artists because they're speaking right to us. And so all of these ways of communicating with your fans, if we're not sort of taking advantage of the fact that we can communicate directly with people, then we're kind of, missing the point. So that is a lot of information that I just shouted at you. So I think we're going to take like 30 minutes for questions. And I just want to thank you guys so much for listening. Thank you.
Question was, how do you know on what platform to post content? Because all these platforms are more like the same in a way, but still not. Like these live videos or photos. Yeah, how do you know? Or do you post them all of them, but different days or different with variations?
It's a good question, and that's where the content calendar I think is really handy. So you can post. A lot of people do post the same or similar stuff on all the platforms. That is not the best strategy because you're obviously not giving people a reason to follow you in different places. So if you're posting the same thing on Twitter as Instagram, and I love Instagram, why would I follow you on Twitter? But there are different features on different platforms, obviously, that are, you might just really love the way that going live on Instagram is versus Facebook Live or, vice versa. I think the best thing is to experiment with all of them. And you also might want to use the platforms for different things. So like I was saying, for Twitter and Instagram stories, you might want to use that for just like thoughts that you have or photos of cats that you find or whatever, just like things that are kind of quick and plentiful. And then for Facebook, you might want to use that for like once a day. If your cadence is once every other day, but I wouldn't go nuts on Facebook because like I said, like the algorithm is curating, it's choosing the like prime content. So if you flood Facebook with content, how is it going to choose between the posts that you're doing? Just post like the most engaging thing, make sure there's a call to action or some kind of like engaging element. But I think with Facebook too, like people have turned that into like the business platform where they only post about stuff that's happening promotionally. So experiment with that one almost the same way that you would with Instagram. But then Instagram should kind of be your place for like something beautiful or something, that's sort of your vibe of, if your thing is food, posting pictures of food or videos of you cooking or stuff like that. So play around with it. And with your contextual content, that's not necessarily like, I need to post today about my show in a week. Those are things that you can like play with. I'm going to post this on Twitter today, and then the similar thing on Instagram tomorrow, and kind of play with that. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay.
Someone controls Ed Sheeran's Instagram account, and I was wondering how.
It's not me.
No, it's not. But it's I think Teddy's photos.
Yeah.
How does he work that with engagement and?
It's a good question. We work with a lot of artists that are bigger, and the engagement question is always something that comes up, and it's something that you usually talk about with the client before we start. Be like, how are we going to handle this? And every artist is different. So artists that maybe don't post their own things, maybe they don't engage. To be honest, Ed Sheeran's engagement is fine. He doesn't really need to do that, and he does it in his own way. So he might go live. I don't know what he's doing, but he might go live like once a month, or he might, write a letter to a fan, or he might do something. He might be on Community, I don't know. So it's a good question because not every artist it's not their thing, or they just don't do it. Or like sometimes it could be that someone's doing it for them if they have a close enough connection with the people that do it. Like we do have artists that we do the engagement for them. We just know sort of like what they would say. And if we don't know, we'll ask them, hey, this person, we should probably respond to this person. What should we say?
So I have two questions. One is like, maybe this has to do with which distributor you're using, but in like the story thing with music,
yeah,
and I like
music
pick
sticker.
my song. How do you get your lyrics to like pop up? Because mine doesn't.
It's not in. What distributor are you with?
Currently, I've used Amuse.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, it is something you could ask about that. It usually is. Is your music doesn't pop up in the music sticker?
No, yeah, the music does, but,
but the lyrics aren't?
lyrics don't.
Yeah, I would maybe ask them about that. It might just be because I think, yeah, it could have to do with the distributor. Yeah, it's just the metadata.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And the whole thing about like doing a sponsored or like put in money in a post. Would you say it's best to like post and then wait for it to like organically grow a bit and then put in the money, or like put in the money ASAP?
So it's a good question. It depends kind of what your goal is and how quickly you want people to see it. Like if it's a show post and the show is happening, soon, I would put the money in before. You can also, again, this is like a whole other probably like 2-hour discussion of ads, but like you can choose how the money is spent on ads. So you can choose it to be spent as quickly as possible, meaning that like the more people, it like will front load the ad spend. So if you put $20 in, instead of spending like $20 over the course of like 3 days, you can spend it like as soon as possible. And then that will generate more organic engagement as well.
But if it's like my new song is out and it's not like a rush, you just want as many people as possible to see it.
You could. Like those are the posts that I would put money behind. If it's like my cat is being so cute today, like I wouldn't probably. I mean, you could, and certainly like if your engagement has gotten really low for some reason, that might be something that you try to stoke it so that people know that you're not just posting about your promo stuff. But yeah,
because I just thought that since it triggers on how many comments it is, that
Exactly.
it's best to let it grow naturally first. But maybe that's not true.
It's the same. Like if you're putting money behind it, if it's getting engagement is engagement. So it's going to show it to more people after that. Yeah. And then you can also do like a post. You can A/B it too. So you can do like a post if you want to try it with something. Do an organic post on your page and do a separate ad, same copy, same everything, and just like see what happens. Yeah.
Hi.
Hi.
First of all, your meme game is so strong. Thank you. What I was wondering was, most of these tips and tricks, they seem to work well for like bigger artists, but what if you're a new artist, you don't have that following, but you want it? Would these types of things also work for them, like going live and stuff like that? I'm thinking about engagement. Like, let's say you have 300 followers.
Yeah.
You go live, you get like maybe 10
Yeah.
to see that live. Would that like negatively affect
No,
engagement?
because it's based off of it's a ratio, right? So if you have this many followers and this many show up, that's actually quite good. So I always liken this to like when you're a touring artist that's just starting out. You go to a place, you play your first show, and there's like 3 people there, and you're like, okay, well, 3 people came. Let's go back here. And then the next time you go, there's 10 people, and then there's 9 people, and it's not just your family. And then you go, so you kind of build that in real life. And I think it's the same thing with either posting on social media, because people are like, but I'm posting to no one. And I'm like, I know, it's fine. You have to for a while. It's the same thing where like you would not, you same thing with like the live show. So, or like you kind of have to like make your house before you live in it. Like there's nothing going on and then you make it happen. So it's not like it's going to affect your the algorithm by a lot of people showing up. The consistency of you going live and using the feature and then promoting it on other platforms. If you do a show and you're like, hey, Tuesday at 4 p.m. I'm going to do a live thing, come join me, or I'm going to give away prizes, or I'm going to do whatever, or invite someone else on your channel to go live with you and have them promote it. And that's also where the external engagement comes in too. So you're engaging on other people's profiles and kind of like putting yourself in front of them to make them aware of what you're doing, to draw them over to you. Because you are kind of talking to no one for a little while.
Okay, thanks.
I think it's quite a blurred line between me as a person and me as an artist, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I began as a touring artist, touring the whole world for many years. And then now I also have a recording studio. I'm recording lots of other bands. I have a record company. I released like 30 CDs.
Oh my God.
I produced like 80 music videos. I manufacture microphones.
Wow.
So how the hell,
And you have pages for all of those different things?
No, not really, because I noticed that when I make a page, nobody follows that page. They follow me as a person because they think, oh, that's an interesting guy.
Right,
yeah?
exactly.
So, but now I have too many too many things to
Yeah, yeah.
write about. So I'm always confused, like, oh, what am I going to, I don't know what things to focus on because it's too much.
It's a lot.
So how do you do when you're in my situation?
I mean, and we have that. I mean, I think that the best thing is to not segment it too much. So I think you're doing it right. I wouldn't make a separate account for every single one of those things. And I think that's, you know, kind of helps you mix up your content in a way where you're talking to different people about different things. I think it's a little tricky. Maybe your artist stuff can be separate from the non-artist stuff, like the sort of B2B stuff. So maybe you have one that's just the recording studio and the microphone manufacturing and you as a producer, and then you have you as an artist. So maybe it's just two things. It's still annoying because you have two to maintain, but at least you can focus your, I have a very small head. You can focus your content towards at least like people in the industry versus people that might want to buy your music. Yeah.
My question is, what would you say the difference is between advertisement and marketing?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I feel like advertising is part of marketing. So marketing is kind of like the things that you do to get your product out there, and advertising is like one vertical of that. And then there's the organic stuff. And then, you know, under advertising, you have social media advertising, you have, you know, if you're going to do out of home or if you're going to hire a street team or all these different things, you kind of have those. But yeah, I think it's kind of part of the package. I think you can do quite a lot of marketing without spending money. But a lot of times advertising is necessary as part of it. Yeah.
And when you work with different artists, do you set like how long is the plan when you release a single, for example? Mm-hmm. What's from getting to plan A to plan B? What's the process?
So we usually do 3 months to start because it's just pretty difficult to get anything done, you know, in a shorter time than 3 months. You, like by the time it's 2 weeks in, we're still getting set up. Like we've audited all the platforms, we've optimized everything, we're getting the content plan together, and then we're like posting. So if there's a single coming out, we usually start like, depending on how much needs to be built up, like if the band needs a lot of help, kind of they're starting from scratch or like really, really developing, we want to be as far ahead of that single as possible. So we can start posting about things, teasing things, getting that kind of lifestyle content up and running, talking about the tracks. I'm in the studio, I'm prepping something, here's my deal, and building that audience so that by the time the single comes out, there's an audience there ready for it. In that case, I'd like 6 months at least, but sometimes that's not possible. So if that were the case, then we would do like 2 months before and then a month after the single, so that then we're on board for a month with that single out so we can be promoting it. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, Marni.
Hi, where's that coming from?
Hi, here.
Hi, okay, here. I'm like, what's happening?
Hi, and thanks for all the great ideas you've been giving out. If you got limited time, what would you say is the best way to market a band or yourself as a songwriter? Where would you put your engine? Like,
it's a good question.
I got limited time.
Limited time.
And
limited
I'm not
time or
that
limited
on social media either, so I'm just, starting out.
Yeah, it's hard. So is it the time that's limited? Is there a budget? Do you have like what are your resources?
No, it's more like the time.
Okay.
I put in maybe 1 or 2 hours a day or hours a day, something like that.
Yeah, I think then putting a schedule, like having a very strict schedule that you're adhering to, that's kind of like planning things out. Maybe you take one day a week or 1 day every 2 weeks that you spend a little bit more time and you're planning out your content. And that way every day you just know what you're doing. You can even have someone else do it to post it because literally it's like the thing that you're posting, whether it's a video or whatever, the copy, and then you just spend the bulk of your time with the engagement, And something I didn't really get to because I was kind of zipping through is like when you're doing internal engagement, do the engagement internally after you post your new post. So because sometimes like people have commented on stuff from 3 or 4 days ago because of how the algorithm works, and then you're getting kind of more bang for your buck because you're replying to people's comments, but then they might then also see that you posted something new and engage with the thing that you just posted. So you kind of think about like, how do I like get the most out of my time so I'm not just like reinventing the wheel every single day.
So commenting, that's a good thing, right? And also using hashtags.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, just like I was saying, like if you keep those things in mind of how to do it, like not spammy hashtags, replying to people's comments with genuine responses and things like that. Yeah, yeah.
So if you're maybe on Facebook, should you really follow a theme that you keep on the same kind of theme and not be as spread out?
In terms of what you're posting about?
Yeah, doing vacations, music, songwriting, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So that's your content calendar. Those are your content themes. So whether it's, you know, writing, my dog, I love, you know, whatever, like.
I gotta get a dog.
You gotta get a dog. Obviously, everybody has to get a dog, just to photograph them. But yeah, you have your themes mapped out, and then it's not to say you don't stray from them, but you can, you know, have kind of a structure framework. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm wondering about, you know, you have a release coming up, and maybe you do like some promotion before that, like yeah, this song is coming, blah blah blah, it's coming out, and then it's out, and you want like, you know, people to hear it, and then you mix that up with those other contents that are like engagements and stuff.
Right.
But when should you like start focusing on the next release? Because I'm like, okay, I released a song in the summer, and then something new is coming up soon, like maybe in April or something.
Yeah.
Now I'm in this, you know, time in between, and I'm like, what should I talk about? Should I talk about the old song? Like, yeah, you can still listen to it and like, you know, refer to that. Or should we still haven't set the date for the next release, so we don't know.
That's okay.
So should I start like talking about that? Or when you're in between, what should you do? And when should you like stop focusing on the release?
Right, so I think that you, having those times in mind, like knowing when the next thing is happening, even in your mind, just knowing like in 2 months, I'm gonna start teasing that release because it's gonna come out in 3 months. So, you know, I'm gonna spend a month teasing it and then it's gonna come out. So I want to keep people engaged now, but I don't just want to talk about what I just released because then I'm just talking about that same song over and over again. So you can weave that song into other things that you're doing, like you know, dog, right? Here's a video of my dog listening to my song, whatever. Here, you know, here's me cooking. Oh, my song's on, whatever. But you also need to be posting about all that other interesting stuff that's your other content themes. So this is where you can talk about, you know, things that are important to you in your life, if they kind of fit with your persona as the artist. Like if you're really into fitness and, you know, it kind of goes with your vibe as an artist or self-care or whatever. It's just a way to kind of keep in people's feeds, connect with your fans, give them something to engage back with you about. You can talk about like you writing for future stuff. Don't know when this is going to come out, but I'm working on a new song. And you can even do things like sing it, a bar of it a cappella to be like, what do you guys think? Or, you know, this is just a work in progress, or here's me in the studio. All of these little things that just kind of paint the picture of your life as an artist. And it also kind of hints at like, there's going to be more music. It's just like a work in progress. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay, cool.
My question is about attitude towards sponsored posts in general. I personally report every sponsored ad I see. I never click on them. I'm that guy. And most of my friends are that guy as well.
Yeah.
How prevalent is that? Or is it that we are just so jaded and sick of it?
Well, I think if you're reporting
just report them as it's not relevant. I don't go.
If it's not relevant, that's what I was going to say. So you can choose that option. So why are you reporting this post? It's not relevant to me. If it's not relevant to you, then that's Facebook or Instagram learning what you like and you don't like.
I don't like any of it.
Well, then, yeah, that's an issue.
I mean, in general, though, I find a lot of people really have an aversion to sponsored
ads. Are you
ads.
talking about on Instagram or Facebook or both?
Instagram.
Yeah. It's funny because I remember when Instagram ads came out and I was like horrified. I was like, because I got an ad for like an SUV or something. Like I live in New York, like I don't even, well now I do have a car and it's an SUV, which is ironic, but but back then I was like, this is like totally doesn't apply to me. This is so, it feels invasive and weird, and Instagram is for my friends and now I don't even think it's because I'm in marketing or do what I do, but I'm just like, I'll buy things from Instagram ads because they're so targeted to me. So on Facebook, which I think, it is connected to your Instagram. On Facebook, there is a thing that you can go into of your settings and you can find out why you're being targeted for certain ads, and you can play with that. So you could.
No, I know why I'm being targeted, but I've seen it 100 times and I'm not going to buy it.
Well, that's somebody doing terrible advertising, that you're constantly not engaging with it and they continue to target you. that's their fault. So, you're welcome.
So we were talking about social media, but my question is how much we should focus also on kind of offline marketing and how social media can coexist with like the offline marketing, like the more traditional marketing.
Definitely. I think it's really important. And I think it's actually more important now than ever because people are so inundated with exactly what you're talking about. Like if somebody came up to you on the street and was like, hey, you're wearing a Misfits shirt, this band that kind of sounds like whatever, you know, they're playing a show. You might be even, I don't know, you might like be like, get out of my way. But also you might be more receptive to that if they're having a conversation, right? So because we're so like digital, like sometimes we don't even see the things that were being advertised. Like no one sees the right-hand sides of Facebook, you know, all those things. No one sees like Google ads, you skip it and go down. So I think it is really important. In fact, we, our marketing department, we have like a 600-person street team across the US, and our street team is more busy than ever now because people want street team campaigns. They want like somebody going up to someone and being like, hey, you're in line for this show, like this other band is doing a show, or their album is coming out, or you know, something creative like that. And even in terms of like billboards and wheat pasting and stuff like that is a little bit more passive, and it's also more expensive, but you know, flyering and stuff like that, retail marketing, doing partnerships with brands and local coffee shops and stuff like that. So we do a lot of that. And it's important.
I run a small record label, but like most of small record labels in Sweden, now we work internationally. So we have bands all over the world at the moment, Japan, New Zealand, US, Germany. And there are different platforms, of course, or different formats in all those countries. In Japan, you only want CDs, etc. In Sweden, it's only Spotify.
Yeah.
But my question is, about the social media platforms, do you see any differences between different countries in how it's used, how important they are? Can you tell us something about that?
It's a good question, and we work with a lot of international artists, and so our strategy tends to be similar, aside from the language, obviously. But it's, you know, because you can geo-target things, or if you're releasing something globally, you know, we have worldwide release dates, so obviously you're talking to everyone in the whole world. What I would say is like the timing issue. So if you're talking about something worldwide, but you want, you know, the most engagement, I would time it towards the time zone where you have maybe the most followers, so that you know that you're going to get more engagement on that post, and then everyone else will see it because that post has gotten engagement. And if things are going to be happening in certain territories, obviously target it towards those territories. But social media is pretty global. There's not, outside of saying things that are very, you know, territory specific, where somebody might not get the joke, or if it's political or something like that. You know, we all kind of know everything right now that's going on, so I don't think, unless you're seeing that you post specific things and you're analyzing the data and you're not seeing a lot of engagement from certain territories, then you might want to tweak it. But yeah, it's pretty global.
That's cool, thanks.
Hi. We talked a lot about algorithms, and I'd just like to ask about YouTube and what kind of content that the algorithms promote right now.
Yeah. I mean, same with the other platforms. As soon as they have a new feature, they like for you to use it. So that's why like YouTube premieres are great, because it's telling YouTube, this is not content that's been on YouTube before. So people are going to, I'm driving traffic here, you're welcome. And also like, you know, people are going to be seeing content here that they haven't seen elsewhere. So that's something that also drives the traffic, or drives the algorithm. Like I said, the way that you title your videos is kind of like guide the algorithm where to go. But really, it's the cadence. So if you upload something and then you forget about YouTube for 6 months, when you upload your next thing, it's going to be a little bit harder to kind of get that traction. You're obviously going to direct people to it from your other platforms, but it's just something to keep in mind. And that's why, like, if you can kind of push your subscribers to 1,000 to get that community channel, it's a really great way to just kind of keep things going. So, and like I'm seeing, like even our smaller bands, like because we're directing people over there, if you post unique content there, I know everybody, we need, like I remember when it came out and we were like, oh yay, another place to make content for, we need that, awesome. But it is kind of a good way, because that has been the struggle with YouTube, and I think they know that, where people, they constantly are like, post more content, and people are like, it's YouTube, like how many videos do you think I have, you know? But it's kind of a way for you to post more creative stuff.
Thank you.
If you should outsource some part of the marketing or PR field as an artist, and because we don't have that much money, but we have a new album that we're going to release this year, and of course we want it to be a big success. And we also trying to learn as much as we can ourselves and spend as much time as we have working on it ourselves. But if you should outsource some parts, what would you choose?
Perhaps the advertising. So we do a lot of, because if you are going to be spending the money on advertising anyway, it's probably not a bad idea to spend it in the most efficient way possible so that you're getting the most out of it. So, you know, if you're spending money on advertising and you're paying like $10 per engagement, that's probably not a great use of your money, you know. So we do a lot of campaigns that are consulting, where we'll, you know, the artist will post the content, they'll create the content, we'll kind of guide them in the right direction, but then we'll run all the ad campaigns because they're like, this is a full-time job, and we're like, we know, it's our job. So like, it's a lot of information to know and keep track of. And so that might be unless you're just like really good at it, some people just have studied it and they know what they want to do and they try stuff out, which I would do anyway. I would try stuff out way ahead of your release so that you could see what works. But yeah, I might say that. PR, I think if you're in a position where you have something to talk about and there's enough history behind you where like a PR campaign would be beneficial, that could also be something good. But I feel like a lot of people do PR campaigns before they're ready. Or it could be just like a smaller PR campaign, like a super targeted one, something like that. So there's a lot of different options.
So you can just hire someone to give you the right advice to, is this content good enough? Or is it a good time to post it now? Or
kind of, yeah. Like, so we'll sort of, it's a little bit more structured than that, but it's sort of like social media coaching for like 3 months of like, okay, first we're gonna like analyze everything and make sure that everything's optimized. And then we're going to put together the content themes, and then we're going to talk about like, well, when should you post what? And then here's your framework, and you'll fill that in, and then, you know, the ad strategy and stuff too.
And what is that word called?
What is that what?
Yeah, what is that the kind of job called? What are we searching for?
A social media consultant, I guess.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't think I made that up. I'm sure other people do it.
Great, thank you.
Hi, I learned that today that actually none of the social media platforms likes when you direct your audience elsewhere.
Correct.
But I previously learned that you should have your website and direct all your social media traffic to that. And
the other way, yeah.
Yeah, so my question is, what about the website? How important is that as a base?
It's very important, yeah. And I kind of mentioned this when I was talking about email, because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't need a website, I have Facebook. And I'm like, because MySpace, everyone did that with MySpace, and then they were like, oh, my fans are gone. So it's very important to have a website. Even if it's just like a landing page with information, that should very clearly tell people where to find you on social media. But all of your social media platforms should also, in the area, like in the About section where you can put your website, 100% should have your website there. And it's what I'm saying about the platforms don't like when you direct people elsewhere. It's like if every single post is just a link somewhere else, then it's going to deprioritize your content, because obviously it's the likelihood that it's spammy is good, especially if you're constantly linking people to the same place. And the way that you kind of get around that is like I was saying with the video content. So if you have really engaging content and then you're saying, hey, more of this on my website, or if you're directing people to your website to watch the video, it tempers it a little bit by having that native video with it. So it's not like you're just putting a link to your video or to your website and telling people to go there. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Marni.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you.